Why not use OEM recommendations? So the short version is this: if you bought a new, let's call it a Durco pump. I don't know where they're made. I think the Gould's pumps are made in upstate New York. You buy a new Gould's pump for your facility and say, hey, I'm going to go and watch this thing come off the assembly line. And here comes you're standing there that day at the factory, and here comes your pump, and they take a crane and they put it in a wooden crate and they throw that old timey straw in there to protect it. And they're about to put the lid on that crate, and some guy says, hold on, hold on. And a guy goes over and he grabs a owner's manual off a stack and throws it in your box. And then they put the lid on, they ship it to you. You're like, oh, that was a great moment in my life. That's fantastic. And then here comes the next pump. You say, where's that going? Nuclear power plant. Oh, no kidding. And the guy runs over and grabs an owner's manual off that same stack and throws it in that one and buttons it up. And then here comes another one. Where's that going? Ben and Jerry's ice cream factory, offshore oil platform, steel mill in Pittsburgh. Everybody got the same book. So if that is correct, then the same maintenance approach is correct for a nuclear power plant and an ice cream factory. I just don't believe that's true. So I have a bit of an issue when we say our maintenance program was based solely on OEM recommendations. I believe there's a better way, or we wouldn't be on this phone call here today. Here's a study done by a guy, Steve Turner. I met him over in Australia one time. Super nice guy. He did a study, and he said, applying this mysterious RCM methodology, which I appreciate we haven't talked about yet, versus OEM recommendations, here's the net result. When you apply RCM and compare it to what the manufacturer recommended, RCM came up with 21% new tasks, 23% extending interval, so it's not 3 months, it's 6 months. 12%, oh, I'm sorry, 12% new tasks, 21% delete, 6% reduce interval, and only keep 38% as is. Wow. Why is that? Number one, we don't write industry specific owner's manuals. Number two, I hate to say this, I think owner's manuals are somewhat of an afterthought for OEMs. I want to sell you a pump, and you say, I'm not buying it unless you give me an owner's manual. Yeah, I sell pumps, and I want to sell you another pump soon. So, okay, I'll put an owner's manual together so I can throw something in the box it gives you. But I don't know that it's done with the hearts fully passionate about eliminating failures and therefore future purchases. Okay. And then the other mistake, it's not generic. So I would offer this, that simple Gould's pump that's so critical to you in the place that you installed it, and somewhere inside of your facility, there's a different place with the exact same Durco pump, and that one's not as important. And we should not have the same maintenance strategy on the lesser important pump as the more important pump, even though they're physically identical. So it goes back to this idea of consequences. If that pump were to fail, how bad would it hurt? And given how bad it hurts, what am I willing to do about it? That is RCM in a nutshell. That is complying with the expectations of regulations related to hospital facility healthcare. If this were to fail, how would it fail? How bad would it hurt? What am I willing to do about it? Answering those questions gets you to the promised land. So opening a generic book and copying what's there will not. And for those that are interested, I'm going to reference this American Society of Healthcare Engineers standard. And on page 116, there's a nice little example to back up. Don't believe Steve Turner, believe the healthcare engineering group and their studies. So nice little narrative there on that. All right. What are some of the common mistakes we make? And we're going to get into building this thing soon, so we're going to talking all around the issue. When we build a proactive maintenance program, much too over dependence on OEM recommendations, we tend to overdo it. I always tell people that Chinese buffet was all you cared to eat, not how much can you eat. No sense filling that plate up. You weren't going to eat it all, or you'll force yourself to eat it, right? So we do too much. And I would tie that back down to the last one. Non-value added tests mixed in with high value added tests. You take out the total population of your proactive maintenance tasks, there's some good ones in there. There always is. And there's a whole lot of really bad ones that are eating up time. And it's very difficult for the average person to differentiate between the two. So you're hiding the diamonds in the mud. So if we could streamline this program and focus on doing the ones that are highly valuable really, really well, we're going to end up in a better place as a result of that, right? You see tasks not linked to specific failure modes. So I would offer I'm questioning the idea of a good maintenance practice generic for all pumps. If you ain't got nothing else, that's what you got, fair enough. But if you apply some sort of risk-based approach, if this pump were to fail, how bad would it fail? How's it going to fail? I'll show you this in a second. You're going to end up in a better place with more specific actions geared towards specific failures. And I think that's really, really critical there. Not enough detail in the PM task to be value added. So if you're one of those people out there right now that a PM printed out this morning that said check the gearbox, we can do better. Okay. What are we checking on the gearbox? I think part of that goes back to quality. Part of that goes back to repeatability. If I send 5 people out to check the gearbox and I had them write down a piece of paper what they looked at, are the pieces of paper going to look anything alike? I would say no. And I've been taught that variation is the evil one, right? So if they're not the same, something is different, something is wrong. So it's in our best interest to get us all in the same thinking with the same criteria. So we're looking for the same things and then improve that over time. And then bottom one is not leveraging team knowledge and available data. So some would make the argument, well, the manufacturer built that equipment. They know better than us. So how dare we think we're smarter than them? And I just don't agree with that. I think the person that maintains and operates that machine over a period of time gains some insight that the manufacturer does not. And it goes back to this idea that this is a Gould's pump installed in this system, in this facility, operating on these conditions and these expectations, and these are the results we get. That owner's manual was generic for everyone, ice cream factory and nuclear power plant. So I think you do have some tremendous insight and knowledge. The RCM process is a method to ferret that out of folks.